All right, welcome to the Iron Sharpening Iron Show. I'm your man, Big Jack. This is where we prove we are stronger together, that if each one would reach one, we can all grow and glow. And today is, you see me in my uniform, so you already know what it is. It's the Battle of the Sexes. It's the last Wednesday of the month, and this is how we come together. I got an awesome panel of men and women, and we're going to come together and discuss some hot topics, some real hot topics. Now, here's the thing right now. We are in the process of changing the brand. And with that, we're going to also change the name of this show because it's really not a battle between the men and the women. They're not battling each other, but we're not sure what to call it. So we put it in the chat. There's a poll running right now. So those are just 4 suggestions that I put out there that other people have suggested to me. So if you can look in the chat and hit that so that we can change the name of the brand. And we're looking at a way to say that there is male and female perspectives, but at the same time, we're not fighting each other. Normally, we end up coming to an agreement, but it just takes us a minute to get there. So take a look at the chat and hit that poll and let us know what we got and what's going on. The other things is we got a lot happening, and we're really happy about all that's going on in the Iron Sharpening Iron universe. Is the brand we're getting ready to change, all the spinoffs that's going on, and with all that being said, so I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm excited about where we're going. I'm excited about growing and I would say growing and glowing, and I'm glad that you're here with me. So we got some wonderful guests today. Everybody's in position, ready to go. So I'm going to try to get them up on this stage, and then that way we can get moving. So because I don't want to hold anything up. So let me introduce or bring the stage up, and then we can get started on this show today. Because there's a little changes going on, and even to the point we're on a different day. This is Tuesday. So normally we're on a Wednesday, but we had some other changes going on, and we will be back on our normal scheduled time at November. But for October, it is what it is. So let me get our guests up on the stage. Here we go. All right. Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Hello. Good evening.
I mean, we got a wonderful set of panelists today, and I don't even say we're missing anyone. We're not missing anyone, but we got them up here. So we got Angels Haven down there, which is good to see. Tracy Doyle, both of these are former guests. Mary Blessed to Crochet, another former guest. We got Aqua Funk, former guest. And then we got Fishy Biz Aquatics, and he's new to the screen. So he's new. This is his first time on the Iron Sharpening Iron show, the Battle of the Sexes, being in our community. So we're going to show him some extra love today. So how you doing, Fishy Biz? What's going on?
Oh man, just happy to be here. I'm glad I got the invite, so I am here for it all.
Right, all right. Well, I'm good. I'm glad to have you here. So, because we have had everyone else up on the stage, I'm gonna ask you just to introduce yourself just a little bit, so that people know what you're all about, and then we're going to start kicking off this show for sure.
All right, Fishy Biz Aquatics, Mr. Clark in the classroom. I teach high school. It's 15th year. I coach girls volleyball at the middle school and girls basketball at the middle school as well. I I do tanks. I showcase tanks and good fish keeping, and getting my students involved. So I have tanks set up in the classroom. Once the students get interested, I try to show them how to take care of the fish so that they just don't die on them in 3 days or a week. And I just realized that in the classroom, students with ADD, ADHD, they can get a refocused area by going over to the tank and checking out the fish, and helps them refocus and get back to what they need to do. So I've decided to foster that. I've been able to acquire some tanks, and I've been able to get them to their houses, and I have quite a few students that are now fish keepers. So I that's what I'm doing.
Well, no, that's awesome. That's a different approach. That's pretty cool. So now, and if I didn't miss it, I hope I didn't miss it. Now, how long have you been doing this?
I've been teaching for 15 years, and I've been on YouTube doing the tanks ever since COVID. When we were stuck in the house and teaching over the internet, I just decided to kind of just start it up, and it'll be either 5 or 6 years on YouTube come January.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being here, and definitely that's a blessing. And we definitely want to make sure we get your links and drop it in there because I'm sure there's a way we can help. Is there a way that we can help you, or is there anything that you need with the business itself, or building the tanks?
Sure. I every November and December I set up a GoFundMe that was started by my fish tuber community, and the GoFundMe is for me to give out turkeys at the before we go off on break in November, and then I use the other half of whatever funds I get to get hams and give them to the students and their families at the end of the school day. So that is currently up right now. Anything extra that I have goes towards getting those students tanks and food and fish, and they can go fishing in my classroom and they'll take those fish home. I currently have them getting ready to set up tanks in respective participating teachers' classrooms, and they take care of the tanks there in the school first, and at the end of the year they take those tanks and those fish home.
Okay, all right, that's awesome, really. So we'll make sure we drop your links so we can help where we can for those who would like to help. So definitely make sure we get your link in there. I'm gonna go up to Tracy Doyle, former guest on the show. You just dropped something special. You want to tell us about it a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm Tracy Doyle, and I'm actually an award-winning entrepreneur. I built and led a multi-million-dollar business, and then I exited that company in 2023. And I'm the proud mother of giving birth to my first book called Life Storms: Finding Your Clear Sky. I had a real story in my belly that I needed the world to hear, and what I wrote about was emotional burnout. So when you got a lot going on in your life, you have daily storms, right? And learning how to manage them is really key, or else our thinking will drive us to burnout. So I happened to struggle with burnout for years and years and years, and after selling my business, I wanted to share that message with the world that there is a way because I created a framework called the Aurora Method, very practical. It helped me get through burnout. It keeps me out of burnout, and I'm just thrilled to be here and hope I could share that message with the world in terms of my book. So
All
thanks.
right. Well, congratulations on the book, and thank you for all that you've done. I mean, really, all that you've done and you're doing. Um, Angels Haven, I know you just celebrated a big event, so you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Hi, thank you so much for having me this evening. I am April Chambers. Actually, I am the founder and CEO of a nonprofit organization called Angels Haven. And if you don't know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, along with breast cancer awareness. But I am an advocate of domestic violence. Actually, I'm a conqueror. I don't call myself a survivor of domestic violence. I've been a conqueror and out for over 25 years, and my life now is helping other individuals escape abuse and or heal from abuse. And so we actually have a weekly support group that we meet on Zoom every Thursday at 7 and every last Saturday of each month. We do meet on Zoom. We just had our annual Domestic Violence Awareness Month brunch. It's we've been doing this for the last 4 years. It's also a fundraiser because our goal in 2026 is to open up a transitional house for battered women and their children. And so that's who I am.
Okay. All right. Thank you, April, for being here. Mary, I see that you're there and that you got a close to another milestone. So is that milestone you getting ready to kick off? You want to tell us about it? Mary, can you hear me? As you pause.
Well, we're only about last time I checked, about 44 away from 2K.
Okay.
So I'm having computer issues, so I'm having to kind of work with what I have. So we're trying really hard to get to that 2K. I said I would crochet for 20 minutes in the snow when we got to 2K. But we're a channel that focuses solely on crocheting connection and teaching. We don't really teach crochet, but we want to focus on bringing people together, connecting people together. We have another channel called Blessings Through Connection, which is so focused on doing nothing but growing those connections because they are so important.
Okay, no problem. All right. So, all right, and then we got Aqua Funk in the house. What's going on, sir? Anything you want to share with us?
Oh, I ain't got nothing special going on about me. Everybody sounds so great and like they doing great things, and I'm just silly on YouTube, to be honest. Like everybody doing big things. I'm just being a clown. No, to be honest with you, I also have an aquarium channel. My channel I started specifically to talk to honestly inner city people, minorities, when it comes to the aquarium hobby, because I've noticed, like, I come from the inner city, and for me growing up, the aquarium hobby was a luxury, and the language is just not there in the aquarium hobby for people like me, or people like me that was growing up. It's just there's nobody, there's no, like, me and Fishy Biz, we're good friends. So I try and talk in the language that people like me understand, instead of what they normally would see on fish keeping channels. You know what I mean? So that they can go, oh, okay, I can do it too. And hopefully that will encourage them to do things like go to college and go to, biology, oceanography, ichthyology, chemistry, any other of those fields that fish keeping might spark an interest in.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. It's a different world. I mean, I remember younger having fish and trying to, and if I knew there was a community, I'd probably been still keeping my fish, but not knowing that the community. So here we are. I mean, again, we was talking about at one time that we was going to be, we're getting this, we going on. So I have some letters for you. I got the crew here, and we got a little technical difficulties going on our end as well, but we'll move on for sure. So I got a letter, and I want to read it out to you all. And once I read it out to you, we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it from the sides of the men and the sides of a female or the women, and see if we can help out this person who wrote it in. So the letter was this, and it says, "Dear Iron Sharpening Iron family, I'm a 34-year-old woman who's been dating a man for about a year. He's kind of funny and we really connect, but he doesn't believe in traditional roles. I make more money than him, and I'm fine with that. But sometimes I wish he'd take more initiative in planning dates or picking up the check now and then. When I bring it up, he says, we're a team and everything should be 50-50. Am I being old-fashioned for wanting a man to still, who still likes to lead and provide something? Or has that mindset run its course?" And it just says, "Signed, Miss Independent." So do I need to read it again for you? Or
no, can I go start off first? Because this is similar to what yesterday or the day before yesterday, you had a similar question with a young man, and he had a problem with his significant other. So as far as I don't have a problem, and I don't think many other people have a problem with new roles because of the new generations, right? Back in the day, guys did this, women did that. Certain people still hold those values. Certain people in the newer generations, not so much. That's all fine and dandy, whichever way you lean on. But that's got to be established at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? She's fine. However she feels, she's totally justified in how she feels. But she needs to have a talk with that guy. Hey, this is not what I want. You know what I mean? This is not what I want. And moving forward, if this is how you're gonna be, then maybe is not the right person for her. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe that's how he wants that. And if he wants that, that's not what she wants, then she's wasting her time.
I got you. Okay.
You know, she's not wrong for wanting what she wants. He's not wrong for wanting what he wants. But it's not gonna happen together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's my personal view.
Well, my opinion is I agree with him. I believe things should be established before the actual first date. So I would assume that if she's been dating him for a year, then she kind of knew these things prior to.
Yeah.
So now trying to expect a different person than what she been dating for the last 365 days is kind of absolute. It doesn't make sense to me at this point. Again, I agree with the gentleman. When you are dating, you're collecting data. So before I go on a first date, we're going to communicate via FaceTime, via talking to establish, boundaries. If he cannot afford to take me out, then maybe we should just go for a walk, or we should do things that don't involve monetary. And that's okay for me. I'm okay. I'm very sentimental, so I don't have to go to Ruth Chris or Moe's or, the most expensive place. But I think that we need to establish what are my expectations, what is his expectations. If he, can't afford to go to the Olive Garden, then maybe he should cook me dinner, or maybe I should cook him dinner, or maybe we should go Dutch. But I think those type of things need to be established before we start dating, especially within a year. So now, she knows he can't afford this, he can't afford that. So, but if they're going Dutch every time they go out, what are we looking at as future? Is this just a dating pool, or are we dating for a reason? Are we dating to be married? Are we dating to court? But so if she's calling herself independent, and this guy is not what she's looking for, then why is she wasting time going out? So that's my thing is before we go out on the first date, I'm gonna know if what he should know what I'm expecting. I should know what he's expecting, and then we can date accordingly.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? I see Fishy. Go ahead.
No, I was just wondering. She said she's 34. Did she say he was older?
She didn't say.
She didn't say.
We've been dating for a year. Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'm kind of almost in agreement with Angel's Haven. You kind of let this go on for a year, and now you're asking the question. But apparently you've been giving him signs that, you're okay with this. So maybe he's all right. And now if you kind of bring it up, he's going to be kind of like, well, and I feel like at 34, and if he's older, I would think that I'm 45, just turned 45 this month. I was kind of raised to be more, on the side of, the man is to protect and provide and stuff like that. But you called yourself Miss Independent. Now you kind of want, him to do a little bit more. That's kind of like, which way are you taking me? And then on the other end is like, when I was dating and going back, people bring their representative to those first few dates and those first get to know yous. You try to impress her with the things that you do and your job and your money and all of this, that, and the third. and then she lets you know where she's kind of coming from, but not the real. And I think in 2025, if you're dating at this point in time, it really needs to be specifically stated out that this is what I'm looking for, and I really plan in the next 5 years to be married, to have a kid, or whatever the case may be. And this is what I can bring to the table, and I don't mind bringing this to the table. And then what do you, it should be a back and forth before it gets to, we've had this whole year together, and I'm thinking everything's hunky dory, but in like the third, fourth month, you've been kind of wavering, but you haven't told me anything. And now I'm getting hit with and now he might be like, you know what? I didn't know you felt like this. How long have you felt like this? And now he feels a little inadequate, and it could just really put a rip in something that could have been a lot better, a lot sooner if it was expressed.
All right. Okay. All right. Tracy, I seen that you had something. What you got?
Yeah, I was gonna build on what Fishy, what is it? Fishy
Biz.
said.
Yeah.
Fishy or the biz or whatever.
Yeah, all right. So like Fishy. I mean, first off, I think as a woman who has been a high earner myself, right? I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is that we're always afraid that we're not going to end up with someone, because there is that stigma of making more, especially with men, right? And, so I can understand how she would be hesitant, because there's always a lot of fear that you're going to be alone, alone in your big job and not having anyone at home for you. So I can understand if she was afraid to have that conversation. And, and I think what you said, though, was super important. I think at a certain point when if she feels that she wants more from this relationship, then it's a matter of being open and honest and being transparent around what's important to her from a values perspective. And I think a lot of women, especially now, I know so many younger women, you said you're 45, I'm 60, right? So there's so many younger women that I coach that are terrified, right? They're just absolutely terrified of being alone. And they compromise themselves, and then they get to a point where they sort of then want what they want, as you said, and then that's going to sort of push the person away. So I think what's important is recognizing that, your fear is there, and being open and honest. You have to be prepared for the person maybe not being ready to do what you want, right? Because there's a book, the author's name is Neil Strauss. I can't remember the book now, but it's a quote that I live by, and I would encourage Miss Independent to also take a look at. But if she's feeling resentful, basically, or, it has expectations, it's, expectations are, he says, are premeditated resentment. And what I like to say with that is, it's not premeditated. Expectations are nothing more than unresolved life experiences in terms of what you want for yourself based on what you've decided at a point in your life. And if you're not managing those things, then what ends up happening is you do end up alone, because you're operating in a way that is not going to give you what you want. So my suggestion here is first off, do you accept this person, right? Do you accept him? Do you love him? Do you want to go forward with him and accept what he can or can't do? No. That's first. And the second would be, if he wants to have a 50-50 relationship, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how he wants to operate. Do you accept that? And if you don't accept that, then that's a hard conversation, and is he willing to compromise? And if he's not willing to compromise, I think it gives her enough data, as was said by what is it, Angels? Sorry, but I can't say. So, I'm old. But by Angels, that that basically, if you have enough data, then you have to really make a choice, right? What's good for you, what's not. But compromising yourself is definitely not the answer. But basically, being open and honest is definitely the way to go. I agree with everyone there.
Do you ladies think that a lot of women think that, yeah, he does this, then the third, but when he gets with me, I'll be able to kind of change that in him? And the reason I ask is I've always been a teacher for the last 16 years. I met my wife, and she was also a teacher when we met. When we dated, she used to come over. She didn't let me know anything about my apartment and everything else, and this and the third. She knew that I was.
And you was dirty. You was dirty.
First of all, I wasn't dirty. Okay.
You still dirty.
I'm never dirty. but you know, you said I do, and you knew I wasn't like the Louis Vuitton, but now like I like this, I like that, and she likes bed made in the morning. She likes she sees a bunch of different stuff that I didn't. We had an argument like some years back, and she was like, when I used to come over your house, you always used to have dishes in the sink. I don't like dishes in the sink. I was like, man, you knew all of this before time. Now you're going to hit me with it right now. What's up with you? But I feel like if the more you're with somebody, if that love is there, and if then that you can then, come to a compromise. And I could see guys wanting to have their lady happy because they're, doing the things that they want in X, Y, and Z. But within that year, I'm just trying to figure out, like, if you guys are going to do that, it's going to have to be some growing and some compromise on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now before anyone answers, I know, Mary, we never gave you a chance on the question itself, and then we threw another question in. So do you have any comments, Mary? Okay.
Well, I was really impressed today a little bit with something that Jeff Foxworthy actually said. And he said, you know what? I have my daughters. And he said, I still buy my wife flowers every week. I open the door for her, even if nobody sees it. And I thought, he said, I'm still dating my wife as if she was my girlfriend. And I thought, that's pretty amazing. He said, I want my daughters to see what to be expecting. Mm. So if you're not going to be willing to sit down and talk with him and see if what you want is what you're going to be able to get in the future, then you don't have open communication, and that's not good.
Okay. I mean, was Miss Independent, but she added on to that, and I didn't put that in, but still likes chivalry. So is it dead? That's what we're saying? Like I heard the year 2025. So is it wrong for a person to want, to be, receive flowers, to receive a dinner, to have a person plan a date? Is that a wrong thing, or?
I don't think it's wrong, but I think that, like we've established, that if she didn't have those expectations in the beginning, a year later for her to now bring it up, apparently he's not that guy. So I think she is expecting a little bit too much now at this point.
Yeah.
Unless she is willing to have that hard conversation to say, okay, we've been dating for a year, but I really want you to do this. Not that I want a guy to do this. I want you to do this for me because this is what I like. And so it's not like they're 10 years in. They're a year in. They're, apparently still getting to know one another. Apparently she's not being 100% honest with him because she's writing in to us to try to figure out what to do. Mm. So I think she definitely should have the conversation. And then based on the conversation, she may or may not need to move on.
It could go two different ways too.
But,
Yeah. Hold up, Fishy, real quick. I'm sorry. Also, go ahead.
I seen his finger. I didn't
want to look at it.
Well, it's not the finger I normally show him. That's how come he didn't understand what was going on.
They got a relationship if you don't know.
So here's my ultimate thing. She's Miss Independent, right? But she wants him to play a traditional role. Is she also going to play a traditional role? Because that's also a mixed message, is it kind of like, yeah, I want to be Miss Independent and I want you to be more traditional. So like, that's my question,
I was going to add on to that as well, because we just don't know. We're playing like he doesn't want to do that, but she hasn't even asked the question where he's like, you know what, that's not a problem for me. You know,
Well,
it
she
could
did
go
say
that way.
that. She did say that. She said, when I bring it up, he says we're a team and everything should be 50-50.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
it might have been talked about then.
Yeah, he said that. He
So
said
she knew about it.
Okay.
it's
All right.
50-50. We're a team, 50-50.
So things change, I guess, in her
Yeah,
mind.
but I think what she's saying is from the untraditional perspective, she's a woman who's making more money, and there's a whole push right now and pressure on these young women that if they make more, they should actually get out of the workplace because they're disrespecting their man. So what I hear her, this is a big thing, and what I hear her saying is I'm okay making more money. All I'm asking is, could you do a little bit more? And that's it. All comes down to communication and expressing what is important to her. And a lot of women don't, right? They're so afraid of being alone. I just wanted to answer the question around, what Fishy said in terms of, do women, they see what you are and then they want to change you. I think the reverse happens too. I'm coaching a woman right now who's 42 years old, and her husband is like the biggest helicopter I've ever heard. I would not be with that guy, right? I couldn't, I would feel like I had a collar around my neck. So, I think the point is, and when they were together, she was free spirited and doing her own thing. And now he's, it's like a noose, right? So I think it's both sides. And, and I think what happens is at least in my 31 years of being in a relationship, it comes to compromises and expressing what is important to you, not what you want, what is important to you.
Yeah.
When you can express what's important to you and the person disagrees, you have a choice to make, especially at 1 year. But if you want to grow in a relationship and elevate yourself in a relationship, you have to be willing to talk about it, right? And recognize that there could be, rejection over it. And then you have to make a hard choice for yourself. What don't compromise yourself and your needs and your wants away, but basically, make a decision about what's best and what's right for you. And I think that's what she's asking for. And it sounds like on some level, she's thinking this might not be right for her, and she sort of wants validation around what she's thinking. That's most women.
I think she's already made up her mind. She's just looking for like, hey, y'all agree with me, right? Everybody agrees with me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And where's these guys at? I don't know any guys. I'm going to be real with you. All my friends, if their old ladies were making way more than them, we'd be happy. Like smiling. I know I would. I'd be like, hey, guess how much my old lady make?
I'm from New Jersey. I just spent 4 years living in South Carolina, and I was horrified.
South. I'm in Florida. I've met those guys. I just don't hang out with them.
Yeah,
my friends and family, the guys in my friends and family, yeah, we'd be bragging about it. I don't know, but I've met those guys.
I had women coming to me because I'm a CEO, okay, and they couldn't believe I was a CEO because they were dismissed by their culture in that specific area.
Wow.
It wasn't until I moved to Florida, and it wasn't until I moved to Florida, like I used to hear stories about what's the word where the men are just overbearing, and like you say, what's the word? What do you call those guys?
Call them a helicopter.
Huh?
Helicopter.
No, not helicopter.
That's what I call them.
Abusive.
Male chauvinist.
Overbearing.
Male chauvinist.
Male chauvinist.
I didn't say that. They're just
All that. No. I mean, just general word. Anyway, I always wonder. I was like, who are these guys? I've never met these guys. And then I moved to Florida. I was like, oh, you're who they're talking about. Like, so I've just now recently come across those guys. Yeah, but I don't really. It's weird that you're talking about them because I recently just came across those guys. I've never
come across it in the last 4 years. I never in my life. I live in New Jersey, have experienced it.
Yeah.
There's women that make more money than men. There's men that make more money than women. They are a team. They work as a partnership, basically. But when I got out of this area, I found, it felt like a different culture.
Yeah.
It's my country.
Yeah.
But it's real. And, and I think depending on where Miss Independent's from, it could be very cultural on her side too. So, I mean, I think there's so many factors. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I stay in the Midwest. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and we've got both ends really bad with the females and the males. But when I was in college, I had car, I had a house, I was going to school, and um, I was I was trying to figure out and trying to find a lady that had some of the same things. And I think sometimes that, you look for the some, and I used to come across a lot of women who would just have these guys drop them off to school in their car and then go home and be late picking them up. And they would just want to be these guys' everything. Like they were trying to build this guy up or whatever the case was, and he was just taking. That's what it looked like to me. And I was like, dude, I got everything that you have. We could build something together, but it was a rash. And then it started kind of changing, junior year in college, getting out of college, and then I started seeing like a bunch of different things. It wasn't until I went out to DC and I went to visit my uncle for about a week where I saw a lot of women with great jobs and men with great jobs, and they seemed to be meeting each other on the same level. And I was like, whoa, like this is possible. Like you can have what you want and be who you want and meet somebody who has the same thing and actually seem like y'all can coexist and build together.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
yeah.
now I want to say, so what I'm understanding from this panel right now is it bad to want a provider energy from the man, or is it outdated? Like that person setting a date. Like, I mean, I'm with you. I'm with y'all. I mean, do you do date nights? Do how's that wining and dining? Is that a bad thing? I'm really stuck on that.
I think it's a bad thing. I just think it's about, different perspectives. It's about what is it that I want? What am I looking for? And we talked about this, early on. It's about communication. What are my expectations? What am I looking for in a man?
That's
And
right.
so if I am meeting someone, I'm getting to know him. And after the second or third date,
And
I kind of know what I'm looking if he's it. So if I'm just stuck in that because I just want to be dating someone because I don't want to be alone, then I'm going to settle. But I'm not in my 20s, I'm not in my 30s, I'm not in my 40s. So for me, I'm not settling. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I'm not getting ready to waste a year with someone he's not meeting my qualifications and what I'm looking for. I'm not trying to build up a man or any of that, but do I still want a gentleman? Do I still want a man to be a man? I do. That's me, but that's what I'm looking for. But a lot of women don't know what they're looking for, and they're settling. And I agree with the other young lady that a lot of women are settling because they don't want to be alone.
I almost kind of like almost what Trey. It's an individual thing, and plus, you come into a relationship with these.
And I have to.
You come with these different traumas, also. So whatever her past relationships were that kind of built her to have this toughness, whatever his past relationships were that kind of built a different toughness. When you guys come together, you guys got to figure that out as well. Treat each other who they are for who they are and what they bring to the table, instead of, I don't think I can do this with him because when I did it for this guy, he used me or whatever the case. And I don't think I can give everything to her because I was flowers and I was candy and I was this, and she thought I was a simp. And after a while, she was like, "You're not a," you know what I'm saying? So now I need to be more hardcore, and now I'm living my life as more of a hardcore. But that might not be who I really am. But I've been built up this trauma from this lady didn't like this. And now I'm trying to figure out which way do I go? You know what I'm saying? But then you also got to feel comfortable within yourself.
Right. I know Mary was getting ready to say something. Mary, you have something?
Well, kind of a little bit of what Fishy said. I had gotten a divorce, and my first marriage was abusive. And I remember with my husband now that I've been married to for 18 years. And we got into an argument. And I purposely kind of literally got about this close to him, and we got into it. And he just said, okay. And he just turned around, walked out, took a walk around the block a couple times and came back in. And he said to me, he goes, why did you do that? I said, because if you had laid one hand on me, you'd have been out the door. I had a little girl from the previous marriage. I said, I'm not going through that again. He said, I will never lay a hand on you in that way. And I've been married to him for 18 years and he's never done that. But I was like, I was comfortable enough in myself to know I've been through that once. I'm not going through it again. And I have a little girl to watch out for. And if she's thinking that a relationship is 50-50, wait till you get married. It's no longer 50-50. It's 100%, 100%. There is no 50-50.
Okay.
I'm also in agreement with Mary. I was married.
There is none.
I was married before as well, and it seemed like everything was going to be great. She had the things that I had as well. I was thinking we could build together, but it all came down to how she grew up.
Mm-hmm.
She grew up with her mother, with her father, who she adored, passed when she was young. And then she watched her mother put men in front of her and her siblings to try to gain that man back in the life. And these guys that she told me once before that she was a kid and going to sleep with a butcher knife under her pillow. But it taught her that she shouldn't listen to any man. Now, as a man that's marrying to you, and I come from a 2-family household where my mom and my mother and father adored each other, stayed together past 40 plus years, and that's all that I knew versus everything that she's been through. So when I ask you to do something, or I'm mentioning something and you're not listening, I can't figure out why. And it just put a strain on that relationship, and I tried to change myself to be what I could for her, but then I didn't like myself.
That's right.
It was not me. And so we would get in arguments, and I'd tell her, I'm out of here. And she was like, well, just go ahead. All right, well, that's the last thing you need to say to me, because I'm out. Now I'm out and about and back to this and back to trying to be, find myself again, which put more strain on it. We ended up getting divorced. Right. And when I to my wife now I'm married to, it's been 6 years now. I tried to do some of those same things. I get into that argument, tell her, you know what? I don't need this. I'm out. She was the only woman that had stood in front of the door and was like, nope, we're talking about this. I was like, what? No, you're supposed to tell me to leave. I'm supposed to go out and go kick it and do that. And then, no. And so that changed. So it definitely has to deal with some of those things that happened in the past and how they, grew up and how you are able to handle that.
If I can add to that, Fish, my whole book, that's what it's about, right? Because what I've learned, I struggled trying to be everything for everybody, and I burned out. And then I went on this journey to figure out, what the hell happened? How did I get so lost? I was a mess. And I talked about it on the last show. I don't want to get into all the details, but on my journey, what I learned was that we're all wounded, right? We all have experiences in our lives. And for some of us, like me, I had some pretty intense trauma. It sounds like your ex-wife did too. Some of us have really major trauma, but others of us, it's just how we internalize the people in our lives and little wounds that we get as a result, right? And we bring that with us. It's like a little bag that we carry that we bring into our relationships.
Thanks.
And, and so maybe Miss Independent somewhere along the line has seen chivalry and she likes it and she thinks that's what good looks like, right? But at the end of the day, what I've learned is that when we recognize, what these beliefs are, and it ultimately forms into what I call not that I call it, but it's self-centered thinking. And our self-centered thinking, we have just different traits that we develop. And when we learn how to unpack those, we can change and we can bring a different person to that relationship, right? And so, most of us will just get frustrated, like, I can't deal with this anymore, right? I'm out of here. But what I loved what you just shared was, in my book, I call that an ish. I call it self-avoidance. I'm not dealing with this, right? But you have a woman who's like, oh, hell no, right? Like, I want you to talk to me. I want you to, like, I love you. I want you to stay here. And for many of us, that's what we need, right? But it sounds like with this matter with Miss Independence, she's obviously got certain beliefs and he has certain beliefs. And I think what we've all established is that when you have that open and honest conversation about what you want from a relationship, you can really make a decision for yourself. But that's not to say you bail on it, right? Because compromise is really recognizing some of the things that hold us back, but also some of the things that can bridge us together. So I don't mean to tout, but my book does go into that stuff. And, it's a framework to help you recognize what those beliefs are and how you can actually foster connection and not always be apart.
And there's definitely nothing wrong with plugging your book, because that's part of it too. But 2 times I've heard, now I'm sitting here and I'm refereeing, I'm in the middle, in a sense. And I heard where Mary made the comment and Fishy made the comment that you put your partner to the test, that you stood in front of them. Mary said face to face, looking to see if he was going to react. And Fishy said the same thing. So is it right? I'm asking from our point of view, is it right to put the person to the test to see if they're going to give you a reaction? Is that the best way to face that situation?
No.
I don't like it. I don't like when people test me. No.
It's not good. No.
I don't, because I'm the type of person that I'll give you the reaction that
I don't think,
you do not
I don't
want.
know if,
Wait a minute.
I feel personally offended.
Go ahead, Aquafunk. Uncle Funk is right down there. Mary, we'll come to you. Go ahead, Aquafunk.
The idea of people doing that to me personally offends me, and I'll purposely do the opposite of whatever's gonna piss you off. I'll purposely do, because I'll get personally offended if you feel like you have to test me like I'm a child. So I'll get personally offended, and I'll just make the situation worse on purpose.
And I want to correct myself, because I'm not going to say Mary or Fishy that you was putting them to the test. It just how it sounded to me when I heard it. So, Mary, I know you was going to comment on, or you was getting ready to comment.
Well, yeah, I want to say there's a huge delay. There's a little delay because for some reason I've got StreamYard on my phone and I've got earphones in because I can't hear it through the phone.
Okay.
So that's why
it's like almost 8 seconds.
For some reason. But I don't think I purposely put him to the test. It just happened in the argument. And I didn't do it on purpose. I just did it because we were in an argument and it just happened. And I'm like, how is he going to react to that? And I was thankful because I didn't want to go through what I had been through in my previous marriage. And not only that, he had been through a lot in his previous marriage. And there were things that I would do not realizing that he had that previously. And I had to sit there and say, I'm not going to do these same things.
Right.
I'm not going to be the one cheating and doing this and doing that, because he had been so hurt in his life with so many people leaving and his wife cheating. And it was like, I'm not going to be that girl. So we were both kind of been scarred from the first one around.
And
very
similar to Mary. It's just that response that you have when you seem to be in a similar situation. This is the way that I handled it with this person. And even though you were someone new, that situation comes up and now you're like, well, I know how to handle this because you're doing but it takes that other person, or it may take you to decide that you need to switch your response of something like that, because this might not be the same way that it really, pans out. And so I feel like, Mary had been in that situation, and she wanted to make sure, like, is this what's going to happen again? And with me, is it, I'm going to leave and she's going to say, okay. When you say something different, you're taken aback, like, whoa, and you don't think about it at the time because you're already kind of like into it. So you're just trying to it's a triggered response. You're just like, oh, you do this, I do this. Right. Instead of you do this, but you're someone different. You're thinking different. You feel a different way. And I should think of you in that way, but I can only think of how I handled it before.
Right. Okay.
Well,
no, I was go ahead, April, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that majority of us have been in traumatic relationships, whether it be at home, whether it be a past relationship. And I think that one, we need to heal from those past relationships and understand what our triggers are, and not have the expectation that this female or this male is going to be like that person, because every situation is different and every argument will end different, or it may or may not be the same as the other relationship. But I think if we have not healed from our past traumas, going into a new relationship and we haven't healed from those traumas, then we're going to have the same expectation in the next relationship. And so if we don't figure out our triggers and understand and establish boundaries, and what we've been talking about the whole evening is that communication is key, and we have to effectively communicate and be honest with our significant other or whomever we're dating, with who we are, and really what are our expectations in a relationship. And if we don't know, then I think we should continue to date multiple people until we figure out what that is. Because if you have spent a year with this person and now Miss Independent doesn't know if this is it, now she's wasted a year. So what is she going to go and now date in another year? And then she's going to be 34, 35, 40. And if she is still going into each relationship like she's gone into this one, not being honest with her expectations and what she's looking for, then she's going to spend multiple years unhappy with a man that she doesn't really want to be with. So I think Miss Independent needs to figure out what she wants and really have a honest communication or conversation with the guy. Because I understand you guys are saying marriage is 100, but what about when it's not? I have someone that I had a conversation with today. Her husband is a federal employee. Well, he's not getting a paycheck, right? And she is. So now the relationship is not 50-50. It's she's 100 and it's 0, right? As far as the financial aspect, right? So we things change, accidents happen, we get old, we have, things happen. So we can't go in and say, well, this is going to be 100 or 50-50, because right now in the federal government household where there's 2 people working, well now, and it could be someone going to work and not getting paid. We have a lot of federal government employees who are going to work in order to keep their job. They're not getting paid, but they still have to go in. And imagine how frustrating that is for that man or that woman, especially if it's a man and he's not providing, and he can't. So I think there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen. And until we heal from our past traumas and we understand what our triggers are, because what if Mary had got in his face and he did react? But that was only because she got in his face. Maybe he came from a relationship where the woman was hitting on him, or his mother hit on him, or vice versa. So I just think that we shouldn't taunt our significant other. We shouldn't think that that person is going to be like the other person. And I think we really should heal from our past and understand our triggers and talk and communicate and say, listen, I'm not dealing with you in my face. I'm not dealing with an abusive man. If we can't talk, and if it gets heated, maybe you need to walk out, maybe I need to walk out, maybe we just need to be quiet. And for the gentleman, Fishy, and you already know that what you've done in the past. And so you were happy that, your current wife to say, wait a minute, we're not going nowhere. We're going to talk about this. So I just think, again, it's all about us healing from the past relationship and not taking that baggage into the next relationship, because all we're doing is dragging a whole bunch of trash
Mhm.
along with us that, we can't expect the next person to clean up. We have to do that before we go into a new relationship.
Wait a minute,
and
Fitchy, I see Mary had her finger up first, and I'm
oh,
gonna
okay,
let her go, and then go ahead, Mary, and I'll come to you, Fishy. Go
sure.
ahead, Mary.
Well, we have, that was 18 years ago, or 19 years ago, and I had my little girl too, to make sure that whoever I was going to bring in to that as a stepfather was going to be a good fit, and make sure that she was going to get protected, because she was my first priority. And we certainly learned how to navigate through, our how we were talking, and how we were acting. One of the things my husband said, um about a year ago, he started going through counseling, and he said, the biggest regret I have is not going through it sooner and dealing with some of the stuff that I wish I had dealt with 10 years ago. And things have changed, of course, in our lives. I'm disabled, and so is he. But we're doing our best to take care of each other. And when I said 100%, 100%, I wasn't necessarily talking about financial.
Mhm.
I was talking about giving the relationship that 100% of yourself to each other, whether it's getting up and making a cup of coffee for the other person, helping with this, helping with that, not necessarily the financial responsibility, because I don't think it can always be 100%, 100%.
Mhm.
But I think you have to give, yourself to each other in a marriage. So,
No,
we've certainly grown in 18 years.
no,
And it hasn't been easy. And we also had to raise a child with autism, which was very difficult. But, you know, he's my best friend. And he's from day one, we got married. My daughter was his daughter. There was no step involved, nothing. And now she's married and has a wonderful husband. And so I'm a blessed person for sure. I'm very
no,
thankful that I married my best friend.
Mm.
no, and that's really, that is
I think
awesome,
you
and
got to be friends first. I think to Mrs. Independent, you have to be friends with that other person.
Mhm.
no, and that's legit. So, Fishy, I think you had something to say, and then I was going to hit on one more point, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was the kind of the fact of uh, getting back to yourself before getting with someone else, like that time that you need to take. And I think a lot of people who are like, I want somebody, I'm lonely, and this, that, and the other, it's the fact that maybe you're used to having something or someone, and even if it was abusive or even if it was an issue, you were used to having something. So when that is no longer there, you kind of like, I'm like, man, I would love to have and you don't give your time enough to be by yourself, with yourself, to kind of, figure out what you did. You know what I'm saying? You can blame whoever, you know what I'm saying, but you gotta, it's not until you look at what you yourself that you decide that, you know what, I need to change this about me. And people do counseling and therapy to try to get that together. A lot of people in our culture don't believe in it, don't want to go. We try to deal with it on our own. We got too much stuff. We pour ourselves into our kids. We pour ourselves into our work. We do. And now this issue comes up, and now you react the same way you did. You know, you never did get that self look, that look in the mirror, you know. And it's pretty serious, you know, and it could cause you to have a snowball of different relationships and stuff that really you could kind of avoid had you kind of like took that time before you jump back out there.
And that is true. So, and I'm glad you mentioned the time. So I want to hit on that. Everything that y'all said, every direction. I know we didn't dissect this one story, and we didn't already created other stories out of this story. We were trying to get a dinner.
You've got some people in the chat that are rocking right now.
I'm saying, look, she was looking for a dinner. All she wanted him to do was take out on a date. We didn't already. Took her into multiple need counseling, some more stuff now. So I'm okay with that. I am okay with that, really. But my question
well,
is,
I guarantee you we've helped a lot of relationships tonight.
And that's okay. And that's what it's all about right now, because we're seeing a different perspective for sure. But now, because I've heard it multiple times throughout this, what is the time limit? Because you're saying, all right, this person had 1 year. So is 1 year, is that the max, or is it 6 months? You should already know. Is it say it should take 2 years? Now I'm gonna tell you what I said, and I've said this in even the Gentleman's Journal, and Uncle Funk might have heard it because he was listening in. I look at that as a man test driving a car. Like, how long do you test drive this person before you realize if I'm good with this person? Like, I'm gonna make this commitment because we've had a year, or we've had 6 months, or we've had 2 years, or whatever. So what is the time that we put on that, and is there a such thing to do that? So I'm gonna throw that out there, because she said we've been together for about a year, and I've heard multiple times we say, well, a year, you're wasting your time if you're gonna do a year here, a year there. So what is the time on this?
Well, I think Fishy said it in the beginning. The first couple of dates, or first time, the first encounters is always a representative. You're not getting a real person. So, you know, it's hard to say what's a time limit.
It's true.
If there is effective communication, if there's open communication, if you both are being honest, I definitely think you should date at least a year before you get married. But then I have friends who dated 3 months and they've been married 25 years.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends on the individual and the background of the individuals. Like, what are they looking for? I would say after a year, I pretty much know whether or not this is the man for me. But again, this is based on I'm a different person now than I was 10 years ago. Right? So I feel like I'm a healed person. I've healed from my trauma. I'm not the same woman I was 10 years ago. I'm not the same woman I was 20 years ago. So I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I'm looking for in a man. But I couldn't say that 10 years ago. I couldn't say that 5 years ago. But I've been in therapy. I've been in grief counseling because I lost my fiance 4 years ago. So I'm a different woman now. So, but after a year, for me, I can only speak for April. I think I know whether or not this is a person I want to build the rest of my life with, or spend the rest of my life with after a year.
It's a lot of variables when it comes into that time, because if you got kids that come into play and you're thinking more about them than yourself, and then now you still haven't found you know yourself, you don't know when to put yourself out there. My wife and I worked with a lady who is now the godmother to one of our sons, and she is having a hard time in the dating pool in St. Louis, and she is getting up in age. She wants a kid. She wants the marriage. She wants the whole thing. And at first it was, I want the marriage and the man, and I want us to be together and have the kid. And then that went on for years. And now all of a sudden she was like, I just want somebody to just give me a kid. He could go after that. And I was like, wow. And then it went to, I'm going on these dates and I'm letting them know exactly from the gate, this is what I'm looking for. I want a kid. I would love for, us to have a relationship and be together and stuff like that. But this is my timeline. And this is like out the gate first date. And I'm like, you're gonna scare a lot of the St. Louis guys. Like, it's just gonna be. But she was like, listen, I want to know what they want. If they're agreeing with me and I'm trusting them to tell me that, then that's what it is. And you still get guys that prey on telling women what they want to hear, and still, not even thinking about, they're not even listening. Still, they're hearing you, but they're after something else. Mm-hmm. And so now you got to decipher, is this guy for real or what not? And then maybe date 3, date 4, or maybe they say something that's just like throws up a trigger, like he's not really trying to do that, what he said he was trying to do. And you got to catch it. And I think the older you get and the more experience that you have with these different, and you hopefully can catch it sooner than later. But I was notorious at back in the day and at having a relationship and then it failing and blaming the lady when I was talking to another lady and telling her how hurt I was and what she did to make me feel bad, so that she could start doing the different stuff, whether it was in her or not, just so I can feel good. You know what I'm saying? So it really that timetable is it can be very skewed. It just depends.
It
depends on that person individually. What'd you say?
You're a pig.
Man, I tell you, go on. I see Tracy back there. Looks like Tracy got something on her mind. So I'm gonna see if Tracy got something on her mind.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say that I think the first 6 months of any relationship is the newness phase. It's fun, it's exciting. You have blinders on. You don't see faults, right? Especially if you like each other and you connect on a couple of levels. But I think from like 6 months to a year, you generally start seeing the things you don't like, because the blinders come off. And I think based on everything that everyone said tonight, I think it's about, that's when you got to be real with honest with yourself, but more so, if you're going to be honest and have an honest conversation, you got to be willing to do it, right? You have to be willing to feel that fear, have that conversation, and trust the process. Like, if it doesn't work out, it just means it wasn't meant to be, and if it was, then, I think two people will ultimately find their way to each other, and know what to do next. So those are my thoughts.
No, good thoughts. Aqua.
So this is a weird one, because I think there's two. All right, so the criteria to say yes, this is the one, is different than going, oh, this is not the one. Like, everybody's given a time limit for saying this is, y'all cut it up, the dog. Like, everybody's saying a year. Yeah, a year goes by and no sparks. Yeah, this is not the one. But to say, for that moment to go, this is the one, usually it's like an event, something happened. Like, oh my God, and you woke up one morning and like, bing, what I'm saying? Like, for instance, with me, with mine, and I told her this, so I'm not mad. I'm not afraid to say it. With Maida, I was running around with, like Angel was saying, date multiple women, and little by little, I noticed. Well, I didn't. That's the thing. I didn't notice. I didn't notice at all. I would stop answering phone calls from this one because I wanted to spend more time with Maida. And then I would stop answering phone calls from that one because I wanted to spend. Next thing you know, there's only one person I'm answering phone calls to.
And I'm a pig. You're a jerk.
I was honest about it, though. I wasn't lying to them and telling them lies like you liar, you dirty pig liar.
I didn't lie. That's how I felt.
You lied. You just said you lied.
All right, let me blow the whistle. Referee coming in. Time out.
But that's when I noticed. I was like, hold up, wait. She's the only one I want to spend time with. So it was an event that was like, bing. But like, to say no, like, this is not the one. Usually a time is definitely
right.
And
that's and I threw it out there for that reason, because I know sometimes men think they have a different time frame than women do. Like April made that a year. Tracy said 6 months. Mary, go ahead. Her hands up. So I'm gonna go with Mary. What you got, Mary, for me? She got the delay. It's okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
I can say this: when I actually met my husband now in '97, and then that's how I found my first husband, was through him. And then we both got married. We stayed friends. And then he sent me an email in 2005, and he said something. He hadn't talked for a while. And he left a little rose on the bottom of the email. And I said, something's up. I knew him enough. And I called him, and he's going around the bush. I said, Josh, what is it? I said, what's going on? I said, just tell me. And he was in Ohio and I was in Florida. And he said, I've never stopped loving you. You're my first love. If I move down there, will you go out with me? He got on a plane in a snowstorm in December and flew down with one suitcase in his hand, moved down to Florida because he said, I'm your love. I'm the love of you're the love of my life. And it took 2 years and we got married. So, I think I think if I didn't have a child involved, we would have probably gotten married sooner, but we wanted to make sure that we did this the right way for the benefit of, my daughter. But, I don't think it gives any time limit. We said we should have just not married the other two people and married each other because, but, I think you have to say at one point, is this what I want to see and spend for the rest of my life?
Mm.
And
Mary,
I
you said
remember being in a hospital sick, and I didn't have any makeup on. I looked miserable. And he took me to the hospital, and I said to him, I bet I look terrible. And he said, you look beautiful to me all the time. I said, okay, let's go. That for me was like, he's a good guy. It was good. That was my moment. Like, I was like, I'm ready. Put the ring
but
on.
but I think Mary said it early
You
on
know.
that, you have to be
So
friends
I think you
first.
have to say at one point,
She got a delay. Yeah.
I'm not gonna, either it is or not.
Hmm. Okay. All right, April. April, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I was saying, but
Sorry.
back to what Mary had said earlier. Well, she knew this guy prior to her first marriage, and she said it so beautifully that you have to be friends first. So I think even though they came back, they came full circle and they came back in each other's lives and ended up marrying, but they stayed friends and they knew each other and they talked. So I think it's a difference when you really are friends first and you communicate and you're honest, because he knew her, right? From 25, they've been knowing each other. Even though it took them 2 years to get married, they had already known each other. So
Mm.
he knew her and he got to know her. And I think that's what's important in any relationship, is that you get to know the person.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it wasn't 6 months, Big Jack. What I was saying was the first 6 months is when it's all new and happy and you don't really see any faults, right? But from 6 months to a year, that's when the blinders start to come off. And and you start looking at things a little bit differently. So I think a year is a good thing, but at least I like what I learned. There's another book that I loved. It was called Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendricks, and what he talks about is how like when when you meet that person and like you instantly are like, I feel like I've known you for my entire life. What he talks about is that phenomenon, and that it's all the familiarity that we have with all the different people in our lives, and that's what we're bringing to the relationship. So the newness is like, oh my God, I feel like I've talked to you for my whole life and I know you. And then all of a sudden all the negative traits start to happen way down the scale, like between 6 months and 1 year, where you're now like, I don't know if I really want to be with this person. And you're starting to question things, because that's when you're challenged to actually, have an open and honest relationship. You know what I mean? So I always think give it a year. And some people usually will find that like between a year and 18 months is when they know if it's the right person or not.
Yeah.
That's
I'm throwing it in as a ref. I'm throwing a little challenge flag, not challenge flag, but I'm just being a referee. But anyway, my grandmother made a comment one time. She said you have to wait the seasons. So there's 4 seasons, which went at a year time.
Yep.
So that's why I've heard that more from the women's point of view. Wait the seasons, the 1 year time. Where men, I've heard like I knew on the first date. if I wanted to be with you for another date. I knew off the first date, because you know if this person is something you're going to waste your time with or you want to spend time with. So it's like, and what are you looking for? Like, I can see this person as my wife. I could take this person around my family. I could take this person around my friends, and you're right, things could change. And you're right, you're in that honeymoon period. That's what we call that first 6 months, that honeymoon period where everything is right. You're opening the door, you're taking me out on a date, you gave me flowers, all those things that Miss Independent probably got in the beginning before they started becoming a couple, because then it was like, I'm trying to court you. But now we're a team, 50-50 all the way. So it's like, where were we before we were a team? What is that called? So that's where a lot of times we make even some, I've heard many people say, what it took to get the person is going to take that and more to keep the person, because you gave a false narrative basically in the beginning of the relationship. So I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. We're 1 hour and 16 minutes into this thing, and we have missed Independent. I hope you're listening. If you're in the chat somewhere, I don't know if we helped you. I don't know if we helped you or what, but if you're looking for that date, you're not going to get it. He's 50-50. He already telling you 50-50. So I don't even know what that means. That mean when the check comes, we splitting it down the middle. If the waiter say who got the check and we say it's two, I don't know how they rolling on that. So I see Mary, you got one more. Go ahead, Mary. 8 seconds. Go ahead. Come on, man. She can't tell.
I just wanted to say this. I have the phone bills to prove how much we talked.
Oh, okay.
And my daughter met her husband through I can't remember, eHarmony. And of course they had the free, we lived in Cincinnati. He lived 3 hours away. So they did a lot of FaceTime and stuff. And I used to say, you all don't know how lucky you are that it's free. It doesn't cost anything. And they spent a lot of time before they even got married talking back and forth through FaceTime and getting to know each other and so forth. I said, you all are so fortunate.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I remember my current wife, because I've been divorced also. My first marriage didn't work. My second marriage is wonderful. But it's my phone. It was funny. I text so much to my current wife. They say you turned your regular phone into a Razor phone, because that's when the Razor phone was coming out, because it was all flat from texting so much. So you're right. The technology changed with us. When I left my first marriage and went into dating my wife, I was out of the game for so long. I didn't even know what the game was. I was stuck. I didn't even know, how to go out on a date and what to do, because you've been with a person for 50. I was 15 years into my first marriage before, we got divorced, and it was like, wow. So you're trying to learn the game again, and what do people do anymore? Do you go out? And even listening, I know Fishy made the comment, this 2025, we don't roll like that. And we're like, whoa, wait a minute. So is this game changed that much that 2025 is not the same as it was in 95 and 2005 and all. So yeah.
And my mind is skewed because I deal with high schoolers for the last 15 years. So me born in the 80s and listening to the relationship issues that these kids have now, they think they're so grown, but we have younger and younger parents, and these kids really are taking on some real roles where they actually are the grown-ups at the house. So when they have these relationships, and it's so different. I see a lot of young ladies that are stronger than our young boys as far as mentally and emotionally and physically, then they're not taking any shorts. And then we have some of the young guys that are looking for real relationships because they are saying that the young ladies I can talk to her and she'll be on my team, and talk to this one, she'll be on my team. I want a girl that's going to make me work for it. And I'm like, wow, you're saying this at like 16? And so I'm just like, man, this is nuts.
Wow. I mean, it is definitely different. We know that it's different. I think, again, we hopefully help Miss Independent I don't know what her
Takeaway
her
was.
partner is. I don't know what her partner is called, but whatever it is
Hey, Aqua, we didn't help her? Or what are you shaking?
We confused that poor girl.
Miss Independent, please write back and tell us what your takeaway was.
She's more confused than anything. Right?
I thought there was something wrong with him. Now I guess there's something wrong with me.
Now I got to go get checked out. I need time to find myself.
I need therapy.
Again,
So to get one of them self-help books.
34 years old in a relationship, making good money, and now I'm all broke up, man. With that.
You got to go get Tracy's book, man. You
Yeah,
know?
for real. So, so I want to thank you all for being on the panel. I thank you for coming out and hanging with me. This was fun. It's always good to get the different perspectives. I've seen that we're up in the chat. I think there's been a lot of going on in the chat. I'm trying to see what so the he said she said was what has the vote. So as far as the name of the new show, so we'll change from the Battle of the Sexes to he said she said, or is it wrong to say it like that? So should we say she said he said? Which I mean, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So, but for everyone who was with us in the chat, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and had a good time. Definitely, we were out of schedule to this time. This was normally we do our show on the last Wednesday of the month, but because my son has his football game, I made some changes, and instead of pre-recording it, I thought it would be better if we was live today, so I went live. So I threw a monkey wrench in the whole program. Everybody's all up, but we'll be back on schedule for the last Wednesday in November. So just tune in and come back then. And thank you for those who've been hanging out with me. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Aqua. Thank you, Fishy. Thank you, Mary. And thank you, April, for hanging out with me tonight. I'm going to ask y'all just to hang back once I close this show out, just for a quick recap. And then for everyone out there, like I will tell you, and all the other things I do, have a good rest of your week and stay sharp. And we'll talk to you later. Thank you.